Now that I got you guys on your feet, who is ready for makeover? Alright, I don't know if you guys know, but take that down. 90% of the battle is showing up. So stay up, music down, people up. 90% of the battle is showing up. So I want you to look to your neighbor and say, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. Your other neighbor and say, I'm showing up. It's your other neighbor. Now high five them. High five the other neighbor. Alright, listen. First of all, glad you guys are here. I want to ask some questions for you guys. Who is ready to reverse cancer and the cause of that in your family in the next 90 days? Okay. Who's ready to reverse diabetes in the next 2 weeks? Raise your hand if you want that. Raise your hand if you want to reverse heart disease in the next 3 months. Alright? Raise your hand if you want to live your full potential, as healthy as you're supposed to be, at 100% your maximum potential, and fulfill your mission. Raise your hand. Alright, high five the person next to you. Say, yes I can. Go to the other one, yes I can. And back up here, yes I can. Alright, you guys can have a seat. First of all, welcome out. Those of you guys that don't know me, I'm Ryan Fenn. I'm a chiropractor. I've been serving here for 11 years. I didn't sign up for this. Just so you guys know, I didn't wake up and say, I want to go out and teach groups of people how to live maximized living and go through the 5 essentials. I didn't do that. I wanted to be a motorcycle racer. All right? And I was pretty good at it. Got to a point where I got injured and I couldn't walk. I was on a walker for a while and my leg didn't work. And we went everywhere. You know, CAT scans, MRIs, bone scans, all over the place, all these doctors. And all I got was, sorry kid, stay off of the motorcycle, and it's over. Here's some pills if you have pain, but whatever you do, never, ever, ever get on another motorcycle. Well, it took about a year before I ran into a chiropractor, and the chiropractor put me on an ottoman in front of a fireplace and took the pressure off the nerve going down my leg, and the healing was restored. And at that point, I called my dad, and I'm like, that's it, changing career, I'm going to be a chiropractor. So I knew at that point that I was called to do this. And I thought that was my story. One of the things we'll talk about today that's in your book is the big why. There's a chapter on that, and I'm going to encourage you guys to get in your book and look at that big why. When you have children, things change. Yes, raise your hand if that's true. You have kids? Yeah. Well, with my son Rylan, we had a big change. He was born and developed absolutely normal up until his first birthday. And at that point, we had a reaction to some toxicity that we chose to put in his body. Called what? What do they give 1-year-olds? He had a vaccine issue, and that meant it was really scary for a while. He had a huge developmental backslide. The words that he had, the mommy, the daddy, the apple, they were gone. They were ripped from him. And guys, I'm here today because we're not letting that happen anymore. We have chances for you guys. Let me show you guys these toxicities, how not to put them in your bodies, how to avoid them in your households, and how really, truly, this is an answer to 90-something% of cancer. I'll show you guys how to do that. And it's pretty simple. But if somebody, my child's not talking, he wouldn't look at us. He wouldn't, he was flapping his arms. He's walking around on his tiptoes. And so where do we go? Where do you take your kid? Yeah, we didn't get great answers. The doctor said, don't worry about it. Some kids don't talk until they're much older. And then we started looking outside of the box, because now he was almost 2. He's still not speaking like he was. He's walking around his tiptoes. He won't look at you. He's not developing like the other kids. And that's when we got him tested. And that's when they said, yeah, he's autistic. And the prognosis we got was bleak. It said, yes, your child is severely autistic. He is never going to speak. He's never going to be potty trained. He's never going to leave your home. And if he does, it'll be for a group home. If you can imagine, that takes the wind out of your sails. Yes, parents, yes? So where do you go to fix that? Anywhere you have to, right? Would you agree with this? So the doctor we found was in Melbourne. And when we met with the doctor in Melbourne, I remember 2 things. First of all, I remember it was $2,500 to sit down with Dr. Bradstreet in Melbourne. And we had to travel to get there. And he said what autism was for the very first time, because we'd been everywhere in Tallahassee, to all the doctors here, to the FSU, the Center for Autism-Related Disorders. But he said autism is not just a neurological disorder for children. He said it is caused from a genetic predisposition and then an environmental trigger. And he goes, you guys have pulled the trigger. We got to do everything we can to repair the damage. So, and that's where we started. Okay, well, so what do we got to do? Right? Well, he said you have to. First of all, he's toxic. You got to detox him. So we got to get more oxygen in his muscles, into his brain. We get hyperbaric oxygen therapy tents to get the oxygen in his brain. He said you have to radically change your diet. No gluten, no casein, gluten in your shampoos. Nothing that's but a whole food diet in your house. And he didn't say anything about these other two things. He just told us these. So we spent over $100,000 on Ryan the first year. It was very, very expensive, and we started getting results. He started to get where he was speaking. He started to get where he was not backsliding developmentally. So now he's not learning fast enough. So we go to a school. The best school in the world was in Cleveland. So where did we go? Cleveland. All right. It was $62,000 a year. Who's paying for that? Yeah. So this wasn't quite in the budget. None of this. My parents helped out. My wife's parents helped out. Of course, we did everything we could. Realize I stayed here. My wife went in Cleveland. And the point of this off to you guys is, if you get sick, it's going to rip you away from your family. And it costs a whole lot of money, and it's going to bring you down and bring down the people down around you. So we don't want to let that happen. So there's 3 rules today if you want the answer to that. Raise your hand if you want the answer to this. Raise your hand if you want the answer to cancer. Raise your hand if you want the answer to diabetes. The rules are, in order to get those answers, number 1, today we're going to have fun. Right? You're going to have a lot of fun. We're over with the hard, heavy part. The next thing is, we want you guys to play at 110%. At what percent? 110%. Okay, so if I ask you to stand up, we're going to stand up. All right? So stand up. Now you guys jump up and down. We're going to jump up and down. All right? If I ask you to sit, we're going to ask you to sit. And so rule 3 is, so play at 110%. If I ask you to yell, yell. If I ask you to spin around, spin around. If I ask you to jump up and down, in order to keep you guys engaged. And the last rule is, at the end of the break, we need you guys back in your seat on time because we have so much information that we want to go through with you guys. So, all right, here we go.